This is the Panasonic Lumix S9 full-frame camera. It has the same feature that I love on my S5 Mark II. They both shoot 6K, they both got amazing image stabilization, they both have face detection autofocus. This basically works the same, give you the same video as the much bigger S5 Mark II. And I have shot a travel vlog with Kai in Osaka. I can confirm that this works almost. Well, not almost, this works the same as this. But then there's a catch. This has video recording time limit and it do overheats. So I've been to Osaka to the Lumix Global Summit when they announced this. The first time we saw this on stage. And throughout the presentation, I have been worrying please don't cripple that. Usually when manufacturer release something that's smaller, no matter it's a camera or a phone, usually the smaller one got cripple features. Good that it still got 6K and open gaze, which I've just talked about that in my previous video. Then in post-production, in editing, you can crop in, you can basically zoom in post-production without losing pixel. Also, open gaze means that it actually uses the whole sensor to give you a 3:2 video. Most full-frame cameras simply crop the 3:2 sensor into 16:9 and you got 16:9 video. I actually got a little bit room about here and below here. Good thing is that I can correct the framing a little bit if the framing is slightly off. But also it's easier to deliver for vertical YouTube shots or IG reel or TikTok or whatever. The reason is simple. You usually see people cropping 16:9 from horizontal to vertical and it becomes uncomfortably narrow. But because I shoot in 3:2, I actually got a little bit more room to breathe. Somewhat related is this clever new feature called hybrid zoom. Basically Sony's clear image zoom with a twist of the lens barrel. No button press, just twist your zoom ring. As it rely on extra pixels, so you don't have this on 6K. Now this is a 20 to 60mm lens. At 4K it becomes 20 to 93. Yep, it won't apply on the wide angle end. On 1080 it becomes 20 to 187. So think about some wide angle lens like this 16 to 35, it might become 16 to 50. Well, you can argue that I could just shoot 6K and then 100% put in a 4K video. And yeah, it would be exactly the same, you just can't see the result immediately. Also in my mind, I keep thinking, please, face detection autofocus, don't cripple that with going back to contrast detect autofocus. That would be a disaster. As I mentioned, I have shot a travel vlog with Kai in Japan. And as an actual S5 Mark II user, I can tell you that the S9 focusing feels the same. Happily switch between focusing on a face or on an object, and switching between far and near subject. The last thing is that as it is smaller, I'm really worried it would take out the in-body stabilization. Just like the whatever you call G100, GX, those names are confusing. That one without in-body stabilization totally ruined the camera. It could have been great. Fortunately, thanks God, this has it the same as S5 Mark II. Same thing. You can see my previous hundreds of videos and you can get an idea how does it work on the S9. Like here I was basically walking sideways. Or single-handed selfie vlogging while walking. And these are just mechanical image stabilization. The E-stabilization simply gimbal-like. No, it can't replace a gimbal. Like when I was running here, you can see there's a little bit of left and right movement. But with this, it means that sometimes you don't need to carry a gimbal for just that 1 or 2 shots. If we look at the video formats they shoot, this is my S5 Mark II by the way, they are almost exactly the same. Like this 6K open gaze, this is really great, I love this a lot. If we look at C4K 50p, yeah, it's still got APS-C crop. Of course, S5 Mark II got APS-C crop. You won't expect S9 got it full frame. That would be weird. The normal 4K, 422 10-bit, 150 megabit per second. But one thing new on the S9, there is a MOV MP4 and then there's a MP4 Lite. This only shoots 3.8K, but this is 3x2 open gate. So this is more suitable for shooting landscape video and export for vertical as well. One small difference is that S5 Mark II just newly add this Prop C recording. You got a bigger file and a smaller file at the same time with Prop C recording. Yeah, video format really important, but don't forget about audio as well. I always spend a lot of time looking for background music for all my YouTube video. And today's sponsor, Audio, also called Audio but with 2 I, they can help with me a lot with that as well. Just like last time I added Kai's DJI Avatar 2 video, I really want something that sounds like Top Gun Danger Zone. So I have actually spent a lot of time, probably like just half an hour, just looking for that soundtrack, and it's still not perfect. But Audio actually got this link match AI feature. You can find it song from YouTube, Spotify, copy the link, paste to Audio. Within seconds, the AI will give you a list of match for you to use, just like that. Don't have to spend half an hour just looking for one song anymore. All the audio you get from Audio, the license for the audio, they never expire, even after you cancel the membership. So you don't have to worry down the line that your YouTube video got monetization issue. So give Audio a try, especially the innovative Link Match AI. And with the link in the description down below, you can get a huge 70% off of their first year Pro account. It includes client project, includes unlimited download, of course, the Link Match AI, and you can download stem for all the music as well. Put it side by side with my S5 Mark II, this is really much smaller without the hum, and then also it is a little bit shorter, quite a lot thinner, and a little bit less wide as well. Part of how they manage that this is much smaller but almost the same performance as this is that this doesn't have mechanical shutter, only electric or electronic shutter. So of course this doesn't really matter for shooting video. This is more for more designed for video. But for photo, yeah, I would prefer a mechanical shutter because I would worry about the rolling shutter effect or the bending in some kind of artificial light. So although with my limited time, I haven't encountered any problem yet. Also, as this is much smaller, of course, it sacrifices something. It sacrifices some buttons. For example, this, I always like this button. A lot of Panasonic cameras have this button. You can quickly switch to AFS, AFC, and manual focus. And also this button, you press in to set the AF zone. This one doesn't have that button, and you have to set your AF zone on here. On top, S5 Mark II got these 3 buttons. This is on a lot of Panasonic camera. They are exactly the same position. White balance, ISO, exposure compensation, exactly the same on a lot of Panasonic camera. So useful. But not on this one. On top, you only have the exposure compensation. You have to set other ISO and white balance on the back here, which is kind of, I mean, this is just like a lot of smaller Panasonic camera. You do lose something. Another thing on S9 Mark II, dual card slot, you don't have it on the S9, and it also you also have to access at the battery door one SD card. One good thing is that the battery is the same, exactly the same as the S5 other Lumix S full frame camera. Be careful that maybe you can't use some quick release plate. Like this jigsaw plate, it's just barely small enough. It doesn't have a grip. It doesn't have a grip here, so yeah, it's smaller this way, but fortunately there is a thumb rest here, so it makes it not too difficult to grip, especially when you have a huge lens in front. huge for this camera. By the way, it's not really a huge lens. Small rig had already make a grip for this, so this will make it so much better to grip. You can grip both the front grip and then the front rest here. That's a mic jack. Of course, this is made for video. Of course, it's called a mic jack, but it doesn't have a headphone jack. And one thing weird is that the other ports are on the right side. So this is a micro HDMI. Of course, it's a small camera, micro HDMI, and then there's USB-C for charging. On the right side, the problem is that when you plug in a cable, you kind of have to hold it like this or something. It's one thing really weird is the horseshoe, which it's not a horseshoe, it's a cold shoe. It just looks so weird on this. This makes it look like a toy camera. It just looks weird. Okay, I haven't used a horseshoe for a long time, but then it just well, why leave it out? I don't know. It just looks so weird. One last thing is that they never mentioned that the S9 got any weather sealing, so I think there is no weather sealing at all. Well, a lot of those things you would expect from a smaller camera, but there are some things that I mentioned, there's some catch, and there are potentially deal breaker. Which one thing is that the recording time limit. We haven't heard of this for a long time, but this, if you shoot 6K, you can only shoot for 10 minutes. 10 minutes! I mean, for some kind of video, it probably doesn't matter too much. But even when I was shooting vlog, I encountered that I hit that limit as well. And it doesn't have tally light. The thing is, most mirrorless camera doesn't have a tally light. But when the time limit is so limiting, it will help a lot when I'm shooting. If I see that light goes off, then I know I had hit the limit. Well, when you shoot 4K, it's a little bit better. 15 minutes. Shooting 1080, 20 minutes. Which is, I mean, we have camera that shoot 1080 with 29 minutes limit for a long time. I think the 5D Mark II shoot 1080 for 29 minutes, but this only shoot for 20 minutes with 1080. I don't know why they do that. I mean, 6K shoot only 10 minutes. Is it because of overheating? But then when it hits the 10 minutes limit, I can start recording right away until it actually overheats. So I don't know why it has to stop. When I mentioned overheating, yeah, this camera do overheat. Oh, overheating, oh no. So yeah, okay, cloudy 24 degrees after an hour of shooting is still giving me the overheat warning. It still works though.
So you're doing 6K?
6K, yeah.
6K, okay.
Later, I tested again at home. Temperature is 21.5 degrees Celsius, 6K first, and I have to restart recording every 10 minutes. At the end, it had almost record for 50 minutes. That low wind indoor understandably performed worse than when I was in Japan. And then 4K, I have to restart the recording every 15 minutes this time. In the middle, I did have to change the battery. Now thinking back, I probably shouldn't do that. It takes away some heat. I should have started with a fresh battery. And yes, it do have animal eye detection. At the end, 4K had record for 1.5 hours. Of course, as I mentioned, this is a very pleasant 21.5 degrees. Something kind of minor is that Panasonic do lacking small-ish lenses for L-mount. I mean, small-ish L-mount lenses. This is probably the smallest lens. Well, a series of smallest lens because they have a series of f1.8 lenses. They are great. They are quite. I mean, 1.8 and throughout the same body, same size. They are great for full-frame lenses. I mean, full-frame camera like this. Kind of not for this. I mean, when they want to show you oh, this is a small lens small camera that you can bring it with you to travel or whatever, but you put a lens on it like this and it becomes not so. So I guess in Frantic they released something like this, the 28mm f2.8. Oh, this is a cool pancake lens, isn't it? I mean, on the presentation, the video, all the good-looking young people, they all rocking a camera like this. This is lovely, isn't it? But then this is a manual focus lens. Yeah, manual focus only. But on top, it doesn't have a focusing scale. But here you have to rely on the focus peaking, and this is an f8 lens. f8 only, you can't even step it down. It's a fixed aperture. If I want a manual focus lens, I can get wide lender, a lot of second-hand, even new wide lender, Laowa, all of those. Fortunately, they do have 18 to 40mm f4.5 to 6.3 allowance that it will be coming. Will be a really reasonable size for a camera like this. So what do I think about the Panasonic S9? It is kind of difficult to say, but in a way it's kind of easy as well, because it is basically perform the same as the S5 Mark II, just with limitation. For me it's brilliant because I can think about, I have both cameras, then I can think about, oh, if I'm shooting today, I'm shooting something that I just drive to the location, shoot, and then back home, then I would take this. But if I'm going to, for example, I'm going to London, I have to park my car and then I go to several locations to shoot, then I would bring this. So it would be harder to answer question if you are the first time Panasonic Lumix buyer. If you decided, yeah, Panasonic is good now, it now have face detection autofocus, it always have the best image stabilization, yeah, I'm going to get my first Panasonic Lumix, then it is harder to decide which one, especially this is not that much cheaper, it's just a few $100s cheaper than the S5 Mark II. Although it is a lot lighter, yeah, you have to think about the limitation. Will it limit you? Is the 10 minutes or 15 minutes shooting 4K recording time limitation, does it affect you? And do you live in a country that's over, like in Asia, over 30 degrees Celsius? Yeah, then you have to think twice, because this is brilliant. It has a internal cooling fan. I tested last time, basically never overheats on this camera. Yeah.